Hello everyone, I'm Andy.
I'm Mark again.
Happy birthday to us.
Oh, of course, it's the birthday episode.
Yes, we are 5 this very day. This very day that this episode goes out is the same day 5 years ago that the first episode went out. Some people would say, why have you gone on for 5 years?
Listening to you for 5 years, call it an hour every time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of my life that I'm not going to get back.
Yep, and probably some of the most valuable hours of your life because you've actually learned stuff.
I did learn something the other day. I think it was so trivial that it was almost well, it obviously erased from my memory straight away, but I did learn something new the other day.
Anyway, we've already had a preamble chat.
Well, it wasn't off studio. I'm sure it's your side. It always ends up being your side with these technical issues.
Except it doesn't. Anyway, yeah, we were talking about the World Cup and the fact that probably going to have to watch England Argentina this evening, especially after Spain getting through. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. No, you got to remember the Argentinians play filthy football, and the referee will definitely be wearing a blue and white striped shirt.
Who's that FIFA fellow? He's going to be egging on Argentina. He looks a bit suspicious.
Infantino, he is an Argentinian fan.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already through to the final. England are just standing in the way.
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned.
Change the rules again.
I think Trump will probably have something to say if England win, because Trump is unhappy with England and he's unhappy with Spain, of course. So,
do you know, I've just thought of that. You're absolutely right. He's not
going to want to hand a golden trophy which belongs on his mantelpiece in the golden Oval Office. Why the hell would he give a golden trophy that obviously belongs to him? Trump and gold are like America and oil.
Have you seen the Oval Office recently?
I know. I told you that he was putting gold plaqué all over the place.
I mean, it looks like a brothel. It literally looks like a brothel.
It's the classiest brothel in the classiest brothel competition. It just, I mean, he has no class. If anything, he has minus class. Can you imagine being someone who was well brought up and walking into that room? And you'd be going, hey, fuck me. Do pardon my friend.
Talking about being well brought up, I had forgotten that wanker, Nigel Farage, went to Dulwich College.
Yeah, because he likes to pretend he's man of the people, doesn't he? He's a bit like your Jamie Oliver.
I mean, he literally couldn't be further away from a man of the people.
No, of course not. But they realised that to get on, you've got to get along, and they just pose as one of the commoners to pretend that they're on your side, and then you vote for them because you're sheep and you're stupid.
Do you think, and I don't often talk about how people look, but Nigel Farage is a particularly unattractive specimen?
He looks like somebody's fucking put him. He looks like a looksmaxer gone wrong. Someone's hit him with a hammer a lot of times, but they just haven't stopped.
I wonder if that is his deep-rooted problem.
He is the most unattractive looking man.
Yeah, and he can't change it.
He looks. He wouldn't look out of place in a Star Trek episode as one of the aliens.
One of those people at the bar.
Yeah, he should be in the cantina in Star Wars in his ridiculous fucking. Why does he wear those awful light blue suits?
What?
You must have seen.
Blue suits.
He wears light blue suits all the time. Just quickly Google Nigel Farage and click on pics. And you'll see 100 light blue suits. They are awful.
Here's a question for you. At what point does Count Binface have to take off the mask?
If he's elected, because you cannot hide your face or your identity if you hold public office.
So that will be it. He wins the election.
We know what his name is.
Yeah, I know. I think I've seen photographs of him, but I've never heard him out of character interviewed. Though in fact, I wanted to. He appeared at the Oxford Union. I say appeared. He was part of the debate at the Oxford Union. He was a guest speaker, so he must, as Spinface, so he must have strung. Because his policies are a little bit weird. Something about the soap dispenser in the public toilets at Uxbridge.
Quite right.
I don't know what he's talking about. But anyway.
He obviously had a bad experience while he was glory holing.
A man of the people, Nigel Farage.
Yeah, very strange.
He was a commodities broker.
Yeah. I mean, he's absolutely nothing about him is anything to do with the common people. I mean, how many common people do you know who get given 5 million quid by crypto billionaires as a gift? Oh, have 5 million pounds, you boy.
Or 270,000 for, was it 12 hours of work or 5 hours of work?
Pathetic. He's never done a day's work in his life. Commodities broker.
In fact, they printed some statistics of when he was the fisheries representative in the European Parliament. He appeared at one meeting out of 42.
And during that period, we gave away all our fishing waters to France and Norway and everybody else. So well done, you fucking treacherous, ugly motherfucker.
Actually, as I remember the story, we didn't give them away. We sold them. We sold our fishing rights to other nations that had more interest in fishing in our waters than British fishermen.
British fishermen actually were the only ones who got shafted by that deal because they lost their industries. I'm pretty certain they weren't not interested. They were just fed up with having to fight off trawlers and factory farm trawlers from other countries.
I can't remember
with
quite
no
how it
support.
panned out. That was a long time ago. Do you remember there were some Icelandic fishing boats that were shooting potatoes across the bows of English fishing boats? Or maybe it was the other way around, I can't remember.
No, the English would have been out there with pitchforks and torches.
What, on the English Channel?
Yep.
The North Sea?
Burn. Anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would actually... I think I might even open... Oh, look, I just happened to be... I've got...
Have you got a potato on you?
No, cremant. The sort of not quite champagne. I've got a couple of bottles in the fridge because I've got it as presents. I will literally open a bottle of nearly champagne if Nigel Farage is defeated by Count Binface.
And will you also open a bottle of nearly champagne if England beat Argentina this evening?
Yeah, that I might do. And in fact, I'm almost tempted. I've got a wedding I'm leaving at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning to go to a wedding, but I might actually watch the match. Oh no, we talked about this when we got cut off. I don't know how to.
It's going to be on one of the Swedish channels, but you'll have to either get some commentary on the radio, Graham, and sync it with your TV, or listen to it in Swedish.
No, that's an idea. I hadn't thought of doing that. So listen to a BBC 5 live commentary.
BBC Radio is treated the same as TV. Unless you've a licence, they will ban you from listening if you're outside of the UK.
Well, that's no bloody good. You know I'm a bit of a law abider.
Everyone has their problems.
My problem is abiding by the laws of the land.
Unlike Trump, who defines piracy differently to everybody else.
Well, in fact, he did get his tax situation knocked out. So, his immunity from prosecution or investigation, that's been knocked into touch. And also the summary judgment by a lady judge, I can't remember her name, was really damning of the DOJ and Trump. So it was Trump on one side and the DOJ on the other, which is a ridiculous situation. And this judge actually slammed both of them.
Good girl, she'll be next. She'll wind up having a stroke any minute.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if this Todd Blanche actually survives his nomination.
Is he the one who was poisoned in Russia?
No, Todd Blanche is the acting Department of Justice head. Donald Trump's personal lawyer.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, he's already said he won't represent him anymore.
Well, he can't. He's the Department of Justice, district attorney or whatever you call it.
He's going to have to come out and say, look, I want to prosecute Trump. It's the only way he can save his career.
Well, funnily enough, I have a feeling that he's a lawyer under New York something or other. He's a New York lawyer, and all they need to do is disbar him.
Well, they're going to have to disbar him when they put him up and hold him to account for all the shit that he supported Donald Trump through.
One hopes so. We'll have to see if it happens or not.
Anyway, it's time to remind them all of the Epstein files, because let's not forget, that's what all this shit is about.
Well, the amazing thing is that, of course, that's why we know England won't win their semi-final match.
Yeah, because of all the chants.
Because Donald probably doesn't speak much Spanish, and they speak Spanish in... Oh, no, they don't speak Spanish in France. No, they might speak French in France. I don't think he speaks a word of French either.
Well, they do speak Spanish in America in many, many places.
No, you're right, absolutely. But Trump doesn't. So when they're shouting, give me a Spanish chant for Epstein? Hola, hola, Epstein. Hola, hola, Epstein.
Hola, hola, pedophile.
That's pretty sad, but that's literally the only thing I can come up with in Spanish. It might not even be Spanish.
Hola is Spanish for hello.
Hello. Hola.
Yes. That is pretty poor. So now you've alienated both of our Spanish fans.
What do you mean? I was just pretending. At least I made an effort to speak Spanish.
No, it wasn't much of an effort though, was it?
No, it wasn't. All right, here we go. Here's a hola, hola, amigo.
Okay, because it's our 5th birthday and I haven't done this for a while, I'm telling you now, so that you're prepared, I'm going to tell you a joke.
And is it about Spain?
No, well, it could be. But a chap walks into a pub, he walks up to the bar and says, look, I'm a bit embarrassed, I haven't got much money, but if I can amaze you, can I get a drink for free? And the barman said, if you can amaze me, mate, I'll let you have a drink for free. So he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out this like miniature grand piano and he puts it on the bar. And the barman goes, not impressed. And he says, no, not finished. He reaches into his other pocket and he pulls out this little man who then sits at the grand piano and starts playing Beethoven's 5th Concerto. And the barman says, you fucking got me. He says, that is amazing and impressive. What do you want? So he says, I'll have a pina colada. So he's sipping on his pina colada and the barman says, where the fuck did you get that? And he says, well, funny enough, there's an antique shop down the road and it had this lamp in the window. And I rubbed it and this genie came out and granted me a wish. And he says, is it still there? He says, yeah. He says, watch the bar. I'll be back in a minute. So he runs out the door. The bloke's sitting there sipping his pina colada. About 10 minutes later, the barman strolls back in. He's got all these ducks hanging round his neck. Ducks following him through the door, and there's a row of ducks going all the way down the street as far as the eye could see. The bloke looks at him and goes, all right. He says, that genie's fucking rubbish. He says, I asked him for $1 million. He went, oh yeah, his English ain't great. Do you think I really asked for a 12-inch pianist?
I knew that was coming. I knew it. And I'm not even good at jokes.
That is a good one. And it's fairly clean.
It is. And it doesn't offend too many people, which is quite amazing.
Only 12-inch pianists.
Exactly. Yes, that's actually quite a result for you, Andy. Mildly amusing and not too offensive.
Yes, I'll have to work on that.
All right, what else is there?
I think that's enough. I think we should get into today's subject.
And what is that? Is it about people celebrating their 5th birthday? And what
I have called the episode Kissing Cousins.
That sounds a bit dodgy.
Well, in June of 1941, 5 of Queen Elizabeth II's cousins, Nerissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyon, and Idonia, got these names, Etheldreda and Rosemary Fane were committed to the Royal Earlswood Institution for Mental Defectives. What a great name.
Sorry, this is cousins of Queen Elizabeth. That's the Queen Mother as we knew her.
Queen Elizabeth II was the Queen.
Was she?
Yes, she was Queen Elizabeth II. Queen Elizabeth the First was Queen Elizabeth I, the Queen.
All right, okay, so we're talking about the Queen. 5 cousins of the Queen.
Yep.
Were institutionalised.
Yes. Have you never heard of the stories of the Bow Lions?
Obviously not, or I've forgotten about it. No, I don't think I've ever heard it. What?
Okay, well, they were sent to the Royal Earlswood Institution for Mental Defectives. Now, someone eventually said, that's a terrible name, but they said you should have heard the former name because it had been renamed some years earlier from the Asylum for Idiots, which I think is a much better name. But both names kind of give you some idea as to the colour of the place.
Of the world we were living in the 1950s. But when was this that they were...
1941, did I say? I'm not going to scroll back up.
During the war?
Yeah.
Well, I suspect it was something to do with they were fascist Hitler supporters or something.
No, it's much worse than that. There was an episode in The Crown. It was the episode called The Hereditary Principle, and it deals with Princess Margaret's discovery of her cousins and the cover-up created by the royal family and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. And in it, in the episode, the Queen Mother says, "The hereditary principle already hangs by such a precarious thread. Throw in mental illness and it's over. The idea that one family alone has the automatic birthright to the crown is already so hard to justify. The gene pool of that family had better have 100% purity. There have been enough examples on the Windsor side alone to worry people. Mad King George, Prince John, your uncle. If you add the Bowes Lion illnesses to that danger, it becomes untenable." Now, the Crown offers the suggestion that the Bowes Lions family was scrutinised in a way that they couldn't have anticipated after the abdication of Edward VIII and the elevation of Elizabeth Bowes Lions to the Queen.
Sorry, what? That was the Queen's name before she became Queen?
Yeah, she was Elizabeth Bowes Lions. As a result...
Can't remember that.
As a result, her nieces, Nerissa and Catherine, along with 3 of their maternal cousins, were committed and false dates were given out to create the impression that they had died. But the Crown, while based on real events, is ultimately fictional. The Queen Mother was likely not involved in a conspiracy to hide away her nieces, although she certainly knew of their existence before the press uncovered this whole thing in 1987. Princess Margaret's discovery of them is probably a fictional vehicle through which to explore the story of her cousins.
Hang on. I'm sorry. I don't want to... I'm just getting a bit confused. Was it the Queen Mother's nieces? Because the Queen and Princess Margaret, there was only 2 of them. They didn't have any other siblings.
They're sisters.
Exactly.
So yes, they were cousins of the Queen and Princess Margaret. They were nieces of the Queen Mother.
Right.
You're getting confused with the Queen and the Queen Mother.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because both of them are called the Queen for some fucking stupid reason.
Yeah, well, one of them was the Queen.
And one of them is the Queen.
No, she's...
And now was the Queen. So both of them was the Queen.
Yeah.
Now I'm confused.
All right. So these poor... were they all girls or men?
Women. They were all women. Men don't have mental illnesses. What's wrong with you? Now, the lives of these hidden cousins present a mystery that endures today, even though the youngest cousin, Catherine, died in 2014. From the moment of their discovery by the press, the royal family seemed to distance themselves from the cousins and the resulting scandal. Even now, facts regarding the cousins and their situation are extremely hard to discern, and the motives of the families involved are practically impossible to discern. But we do have a rough timeline of events, and that allows us to engage in that most wonderful of pastimes, and podcast fodder, speculation.
This one who died in 2014, I hope to God she didn't die in an institution.
Yes, she did. Nerissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyons were born to John Jock Bowes-Lyons, the elder brother of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and his wife, Fenella Hepburn Stewart Forbes. Fuck off. That's not a name. Fenella Hepburn Stewart Forbes. And that's not enough because I'm also called Trefusis. And they were born in 1919 and 1926 respectively. Jock and Fenella had 5 daughters, but the firstborn died a few days after her first birthday. A little before Jock and his wife started their family, Fenella's sister Harriet married and started a family of her own. And she and her husband, Major Henry Neville Fane, had 7 children, one of whom also died in infancy. And their daughters, Idonia, Rosemary and Etheldreda, what a name, were all born with severe developmental disabilities, much like their cousins Nerissa and Catherine. And if their condition was ever properly, then that information has never been made available to the public. Accounts suggest that for the most part the girls were non-verbal and had a mental age of at most 6 years old. They were reported to have had very little awareness of their surroundings, and they didn't know of their relationship to each other even. So they were pretty much mentally retarded, as it were. So little is known about the upbringing or the early lives of the girls, but we do know a series of events and the dates on which they occurred. Because in 1930, Jock Bowes-Lyon died, leaving his widow with 4 children to care for. In 1936, Edward VIII acceded the throne and abdicated in the same year. As a result, his brother, Prince Albert, the Duke of York, became George VI, and Elizabeth Bowes-Lyons went from being married to a prominent member of the royal family to Queen of England. And this is Queen Elizabeth I. After the death of her husband, Fenella Bowes-Lyons spent much of her time in Paris, while her daughters apparently remained in England. Allegedly, Nerissa, Catherine and their cousins were placed in Arniston School in Hemel Hempstead, which could cater to their needs and provide care for them. Fenella returned to Britain in 1935 for her eldest daughter's coming out. Incidentally, a column in The Sketch, a weekly society journal, noted that Miss Nerissa Bowes-Lyons, one of the Queen's nieces, would soon be turning 18 and would therefore make her appearance as a debutante, as her sister had. Obviously, Nerissa made no such appearance, but there was no follow-up in the same columns, and her name was not noted again, not even for her absence at that year's ball. Later, some newspapers would note that the establishment that the Bowes-Lyon girls attended closed down in 1938, returning them to their mother's care now that she had returned full-time to London. In The Crown, the Queen Mother suggests that her Aunt Fenella couldn't cope with their care, and this may have had an element of truth to it, as private nurses were increasingly difficult to hire, even for families connected to the royal family, thanks to the outbreak of war. Whether Fenella could cope or not, in June 1941, her father, Charles Hepburn Stewart Forbes Trefusis, arranged for his granddaughters, Nerissa, Catherine, Idonia, Rosemary and Etheldreda to be committed to Earlswood. And this isn't to say that the rest of the family protested the arrangement, or even that it was his idea, but one of the few facts we are aware of is that all 5 girls were placed into Earlswood together on the same day, and it was their grandfather who funded their initial move. In 1986, Nerissa died at Earlswood, aged 67. Her funeral was attended by some of the hospital staff who had cared for her, and without any money provided for a burial, a pauper's grave was provided at Red Hill Cemetery.
But what happened to the The money in the family, they must have had money.
They're the Queen's cousins.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
The Queen's family disowned them. They did not want to be associated with anyone mentally less than perfect.
They didn't even pay for the poor people's funeral.
No. She was buried in a pauper's grave at Red Hill Cemetery. She was laid to rest in a plot marked only by a tag with a serial number written on it. Not even her name.
But of the 5 sisters that were committed, there were other siblings that were not mentally challenged.
Not from those 2 branches of the tree, I think.
It wasn't all 5 of them. I thought you said one of them had 7 children, so it can't
Oh,
be.
possibly they had siblings, but that's not who we're talking about.
No, I realise that, but all I'm trying to do is they had siblings who completely disowned them.
Yes, because that was the way they treated mental illness in that family in that time.
In the 50s I can understand, but this poor girl died in 1986.
Yes, but by then everyone had completely forgotten her.
You can't forget your members of your own family.
If you've ignored them for 30 years, it's kind of difficult to strike up a relationship. Especially if they've got the mental age of a 6-year-old.
It's not a matter of striking up a relationship, it's a matter of taking care of your own family.
Yes, but then you're admitting responsibility and
There's no responsibility.
and you're also... Look, I'm not defending anybody here, but they are trying to keep distance from this branch of their family, and the last thing they want to do is show up in the Rolls Royce wearing a crown to visit somebody they haven't seen for 50 years.
All right, so the first one pops the clogs in 1986.
It would later be claimed that Nerissa's death and burial prompted media interest in the girls, and whether this is true or not, the following year, a journalist from the British tabloid The Sun visited Earlswood, posing as a relative, and he managed to meet and photograph Catherine. The story was then printed under the headline, "Queen's cousin locked in madhouse." So The Sun, once again, excelled at the headlines. The British press practically exploded with the scandal, revealing that of the 5 girls that had been committed to Earlswood, 3 of them were still alive, but their care and lifestyle certainly didn't reflect their positions. Some years earlier, Earlswood had been renamed the Royal Earlswood Hospital when it became part of the National Health Service. More significantly, when it joined the NHS, the cost of the care of its patients, including the Queen's cousins, became the responsibility of the general public. But this was considered one of the most minor points. Far more pressing was the issue of apparent negligence, not of the care facility, but of their families. The press reached out for comments from the NHS, the hospital, the royal family, the Bowes Lions, doctors, etc., etc. The hospital could only confirm that the women were patients and had been there for a long time. The royal family would only say that it was a private matter for the Bowes Lion family, a stance which hasn't changed since the story broke in the 80s. A spokesman for Lord Strathmore, the Queen Mother's nephew and head of the Bowes Lion family, said, "The whole thing is news to us," which was the attitude reflected, with one exception, amongst all members of the Bowes Lion family. The only one to suggest any differently was Lord Clinton, a grandson of Harriet Fane. He released a statement in which he said, "I have known for some time about the whole business. It's a family matter. If I'm going to say anything further, I want to say the right thing so there is no confusion." With Lord Clinton, the only one who seemed to have any notion that these women even existed, there was public outrage that they'd been abandoned and forgotten without any visitors in all these years. Earlswood would go on to say that they received hundreds of bouquets of flowers for Catherine from well-wishers. Meanwhile, but mind you, if you remember the public outcry when Princess Diana was died in a car accident, and the Queen was up in Balmoral, and nobody was even going to return to London. They were just going to continue having their holiday in Balmoral until they were pressured by the news media and the public opinion that they better fucking go back to Buckhouse and start lowering flags to half-mast. They do not associate themselves with scandal of any kind.
Yeah, but these Bowes Lyons people, I wonder if there must still be some surviving family members.
Oh, absolutely. Meanwhile, the papers uncovered further revelations. According to Burke's Peerage and Debrett's, both of which I see a copy of on the shelf behind you. They are the authority on aristocratic families and their lineage. Nerissa had died in 1940 and Catherine in 1961, information which had been provided to them by the Bowes-Lyon family.
And it wasn't true, because
No.
Catherine died in 86.
It wasn't true. They were both still alive at the time. Lord Clinton, of course, denied that there had ever been a conspiracy to hide the women from public view, and that Fenella had always been a vague woman who had either filled out forms incorrectly, or more likely, not filled them out at all. And this explanation was rejected by Harold Brooks Baker, who was the editor of Burke's Peerage, who said, "Any information given to us by the royal family is accepted. Even if we had hard evidence to the contrary, we would put in any information given to us by any member of the royal family." Which in itself is an irresponsible statement to make, I think.
Well, it's a license to lie.
Yeah. While Fenella was thought to have visited them until her death in 1966, 3 years after Debrett's and Burke's Peerage had erroneously listed her daughters as dead. According to interviews with the Earlswood staff, they received no other visits from anyone else in their family, nor did they receive any birthday cards, holiday cards, or any kind of recognition. In 1982, volunteers at the hospital wrote to the Queen Mother to inform her that her nieces were still alive, but no money was being supplied to buy them anything beyond what the NHS could supply them with. The Queen Mother replied with a cheque to buy them toys and sweets at intervals in the coming years, and included a note to say more could be provided in due course. By the time the press got hold of this information in 1987, it had been 5 years and no further requests for money had come out, but neither had any acknowledgement from the Queen Mother. Her behaviour was considered callous, even more so in light of the fact that she became a patron of MenCap, the UK charity for people with learning disabilities, the same year that Nerissa died. Now, for all of these revelations and reactions, however, the one that incurred the most vocal criticism, even from newspapers that supported the royal family's actions, was that Nerissa had been buried in a pauper's plot without a headstone. And this was singled out as the cruelest of actions, when they were already being condemned for cruelty by shutting them away in the first place. Quite rightly.
So has this situation been rectified?
This is the royal family we're talking about. That the 5 girls had been hidden away for their entire lives is undeniable. Aside from the one mention of Nerissa's coming out, which didn't happen, their names were absent from the society pages that followed their families and regularly featured their siblings. Catherine and Nerissa weren't present at any family functions which were reported in the same pages, notably their father's funeral, their sister's weddings, and their aunt's coronation. Their cousins went on to be deeply involved in royal life, some becoming attendants on their aunt at court, while their sister Anne became Princess of Denmark. And we've seen from their own admission that many of these relatives were led to believe that Nerissa, Catherine, and the others had already died. So the family was even lying to their own family about the deaths of these kids.
Not good, is it?
It's awful. Given that it was the unfortunate norm to put mentally disabled relatives into institutions where they would at least receive full-time care. In this regard, there was nothing particularly sinister about what the families did. It seems that the girls were cared for in small private facilities prior to 1938. Then there was a 2-year gap, which may have seen them cared for by private nurses until the inevitable shortage caused by the progression of the Second World War. Then it was that they entered Earlswood. But the fact that they were hidden from society is nothing particularly new. Prince John, George VI's brother, was withdrawn from public life from the age of 10 to disguise his developing epilepsy. That condition proved fatal, but the public knew nothing of it until after he died at the age of 13. However, there is a significant difference between keeping the girls from society pages and outright giving out that they had already died. Now, we've already seen that Lord Clinton suggested that the provision of death dates was a mistake committed by his aunt, who had never filled out the appropriate forms properly. However, this has largely been rejected in the court of public opinion, which points to the specific and different dates that she gave for the deaths of Catherine and Nerissa, when the other information was correct. In her initial statement, Lady Anson revealed that her family had been led to believe that her aunts were dead, a stance supported by her many cousins, who gave statements to the press saying they were shocked to learn that they were alive and housed in Earlwood. And this is ultimately the issue at the heart of the scandal. In hiding the girls from their own families, it gave the impression of callousness, which seemed exemplified in the lack of care over Nerissa's resting place. And as the press continued to publish stories about the situation, including revelations about another cousin, Jean Bowes-Lyons, who spent much of her life in a similar institution, the statements from the families changed. Lady Anson, who had initially said that the family thought Nerissa and Catherine were dead, went on to say that they were much-loved members of the family who had received regular visits from their mother. Other relatives also attended until the nurses intervened and asked them to stop, because it was upsetting the girls, who were only capable of recognising their mother. A nurse who cared for the girls at Altrincham also came forward and said that the Queen's mother, then the Duchess of York, had been a regular visitor and had bought them gifts. However, that statement conflicted with interviews given by the staff for a Channel 4 documentary in which they all resoundingly said that they'd never seen anyone visit beyond Fenella, the girl's mother. So, who knows?
So when did this, as you describe it, scandal hit the news?
87.
1987. So has any subsequent actions by the royal family sort of remedied the situation? Is this poor girl still in a poor
too late because they are all dead. The last one died in 2014.
No, but is she still in a pauper's grave, for instance?
Well, we're coming to the aftermath.
All right.
At the time of the revelations, 3 of the Queen's cousins were still alive. Catherine Bowes-Lyon and Idonia and fucking Etheldreda Fane. And we've seen that there was a huge amount of sympathy for the cousins, so we would naturally ask what happened next, as you just did. And the answer is nothing. In 1996, Etheldreda died and was buried in Redhill with her sister and cousin, again in a pauper's plot. Shortly afterwards, Earlswood closed and Catherine and Idonia were moved to Ketwin House in Surrey. Ketwin closed in 2001 and they were moved to a third care home, but the location wasn't disclosed. Idonia died in 2002 and was, like the others, buried in a pauper's plot in Redhill Cemetery. Her death wasn't even announced for another year. Catherine died in 2014 and was buried in the same row as her sister and cousins. After her death, Fenella's granddaughter, Lady Elizabeth Anson, maintained that Catherine had received regular visits throughout her life, a claim disputed again by the staff of the hospital, who were the only attendants at Catherine's funeral. Interest in the cousins was briefly renewed with the release of season 4 of The Crown, and apparently the Queen was distressed at the portrayal of what had happened to Nerissa and the others, because it exposed you, you wicked woman. The episode presented a largely fictionalised version of events, and Princess Margaret likely did not go on a hunt for her missing cousins, and if she had, then she would not have met all 5 of her cousins, as 2 of them had already died at the time that episode was shown. The motives of the family have also been questioned, and the fictional Queen Mother's claims that the girls were all committed for the sake of the perception of the monarchy's bloodline have been largely rejected as an explanation. For a start, medical science was not so far behind that genetic conditions couldn't be separated by families. Whatever condition affected Nerissa, Catherine and their feigned cousins had nothing to do with either the Bowes-Lyons or the Windsors. Among the aristocracy, there were rumours of the mad blood amongst the Trefusis family, but that had nothing to do with the royal family. It's extremely unlikely that the cousins would have been shut away to protect a bloodline that they weren't linked to by blood. The timing of their committal also suggests that Elizabeth Bowes-Lyons' coronation, Elizabeth II this is now, wasn't the driving force behind it. By the time they were placed into Earlswood, she had been queen for 5 years. Oh no, that would be Elizabeth I. The most likely explanation isn't particularly dramatic, but it does reflect the attitudes towards learning disabilities of the time. And the unfortunate truth is that medical advice at the time was to have relatives with such disabilities locked away in institutions such as Earlswood Asylum for Idiots. Ultimately, the Queen Mother maintained her position as a patron of MenCap because MenCap's own advice at the time had been, in the words of the organisation's Secretary General, to put them away and forget about. How charming.
It's obviously it's a tragic story, but what is most challenging is how the royal family are actually able to, sometimes we criticise the royal family for not being the brightest of the bunch.
Well, we have proof.
And sort of, well, hang on a second, it sounds like they really have some major issues in their gene pool, these
yes,
people.
Of course, like every royal family.
There's so much inbreeding that it just, how can you have 5 daughters out of however many
7
children it was? 7 and the others. That has to be a bit of a red flag in terms of allowing them to produce.
Well, obviously the mother and father were related by more than mere marriage. Well, eventually Nerissa's surviving cousins, Lady Anson among them, contributed to a headstone for her grave. Well done you. Despite this, for all the public sympathy and the family insistence that the girls were all much-loved cousins, they were buried in paupers' graves as recently as 8 years ago. 30 years... No, it's more than 8 now, isn't it? 10 years, 12 years ago. 30 years after the initial revelations. And that brings us to the end of our Kissing Cousins episode on our 5th birthday.
Yeah, what's the kissing cousins got to do with anything? What's that?
Well, that's where you get your incest regenerative genes from, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I see, so it's a general slang.
Can you see that I've called it Kissing Cousins?
What do you mean, can I see it?
Do you see the title, Kissing Cousins?
No.
Oh, because I do. I name the episodes before I put them up, and it's on my screen. I just wondered if you could see it.
No. Can't see anything.
Well, anyway, that was it. I thought you might like that one.
Yeah, it's just I don't really like episodes that just wind me up.
Well, we are called Strange Stuff Podcast, and anyone who treats their family members like that is pretty fucking strange. Especially when you're discovered in your duplicity and you carry on doing the same shit.
I wonder where they all are now. You should have done a little family tree and you could have told us
That's-
where each of them are.
They're still in their paupers' graves, as far as I know.
No, I mean the rest of the family who abandoned them.
They're probably almost dead themselves by now, I would imagine, if not already dead.
Maybe their family stupidity has culminated in the family just disappearing.
Yeah, so I mean, but you know, when you do sort of feel a little bit of national pride in the royal family, like for instance when King Charles decimated the Republicans and the Democrats in the House of Congress when he went on his visit with his fabulous speech. Bear in mind that that's still a bunch of heartless inbred cunts at the end of the day.
Holy shit.
Well, it's true. And also, while I was doing my little research bits for this, I also wondered whatever happened to the crown, because they just simply stopped making it, didn't they?
Well, didn't they come up to the present time?
I think they finished after Princess Diana.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, oh, did they do a Harry and Meghan? And then they decided, no, this is too close to fiction.
I don't know.
And then Prince Andrew was going, are we going to include the bit where I banged Meghan first?
Sorry, what was that? You've talked about this before. Who was it who you reckon she banged Meghan? What?
Yes, apparently, and she's not. Harry was not the first royal that she'd banged.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, according to Epstein, they were all very friendly. She was part of Epstein's circle. She was one of the entertainment. She was on the menu at the pizza house.
Oh dear.
Fucking
I heard
bunch of them.
Someone actually spoke to the manager of the branch of Pizza Express where Andrew said he'd been, and it's even the manager said we got no record of anything.
As if you would forget Prince Andrew coming in for a pizza.
Yeah.
It's like, clearly never happened. Why would you even have to ask? Could you imagine that pompous wanker walking into anywhere that had members of the public? Fuck no.
I'll tell you what, he's not in the news much these days though, is he?
Although he is today, because did you know that he was banned from horse riding for 6 months?
What, because his brain had been shaken?
I don't know. I just saw a picture of him on a horse for the first time in 6 months since his ban was lifted. And I don't know why he was banned.
Maybe he
Probably
was
for animal
abusing the
cruelty. Yeah. They caught him lifting the tail up and going, snuffle, snuffle. Fucking monsters, the lot of them.
So when William becomes king,
Yep.
do you support that or not?
I think he should be the last king ever. I think we've had enough of your royal nonsense. I don't like this hereditary bollocks. You stole the country from the people of England many years ago. If we can be sued for reparations by every other country on the planet, why can we not sue the royal family for reparations for what they did to our country? I want my land back.
Sorry,
Some relatives of mine were farming that land before the guy with the sword came around and said, you work for me now. I want it back. I probably own Mayfair. I want it back.
You do, because you came from Ireland.
My dad came from Ireland, but my mum came from Colchester.
Well, that's not bloody Mayfair.
No, but she had to leave Mayfair because the bloke with the sword came.
Is that where your mum came from, Colchester?
Yeah.
I've been there. I don't know why.
I think I've been there as well.
I think your mum was there as well.
For a while.
Where she came from.
For a while, at least.
Why on earth did she marry an Irishman?
Oh my, that is probably the most racist thing you've said all morning.
What, from Colchester? What's the connection between Colchester and an Irishman?
My dad came to England to find his wealth and fame. He started a business, didn't he, in London?
Is that where they met?
I have no idea. I have no idea of my parents' history. Seriously. None of my business, really.
What do you mean none of your business?
I didn't find out.
More of your business.
I didn't find out until after my dad died that he'd actually been married before.
What?
Yeah.
For a short time.
Well, I have no siblings apparently from that union, but I'm not going to go into details, but yeah, apparently he'd been married before.
Really?
So it was his second marriage. He was either a serial romantic or he was a masochist.
Oh dear.
I'm going for masochist. Anyway, that brings us quite nicely to the end of our 5th anniversary episode. Quite a tragic, strange tale.
Indeed. Yeah, that wasn't a great uplifting one, I have to say.
Well, we don't do uplifting.
Why not?
We're not called
what's
Uplifting
wrong with
Stuff
uplifting
Podcast.
strange? What I can't believe is that we had a perfect 5th birthday episode lined up for us because they released a load of photographs of UFOs the other day.
I haven't even seen any of them.
What?
So where did they release them?
You know, whatever this whatever the Space Wars thing in America.
Space Force.
They're releasing photographs of UFOs. I thought that's what we would be doing.
Was it Space Force or Operation Epic Fury?
Epic Fury? That's a Bruce Lee movie, you idiot.
No, Epic Fury is what the Iran War is called.
I thought it was a Bruce Lee movie.
It might as well be because there's about as much fact in there as we're getting from Trump.
I'm pretty sure Epic Fury. I've got to check it now.
You can check it. You'll find I'm right. You're going to hate yourself as usual.
No, I'm doing it on Internet Movie Database.
No, that was Fists of Fury. Bruce Lee.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, I'd like to wish all of our listeners a happy 5th birthday, even if you're more than 5.
I wonder if there are many who started with us 5 years ago who are still... I can't believe it.
I think there's probably most of our listeners started with us and they tune in every week thinking they've got to get better than this.
I know.
I'm not leaving until I hear a decent episode.
I wonder how many poor listeners have ended up in Aylesbury. What was that? What was the mental institution?
In the Asylum for Idiots.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's a great name for a mental institution. I think we should go back to that. Because there should be a bit of levity in everyday serious life, I think. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. And if you've been with us for 5 years...
Well done.
Well done you. I can't understand it, but I'm not going to knock it. And if you'd like to hear more of us, you can hear us on Wednesdays on our Patreon episodes. And you can also hear our murdery bits on our Patreon at patreon.com/Strange Stuff Podcast for the price of a beer or the price of a coffee, whichever one you want. Unfortunately, there will be no Patreon episodes from us two for the next couple of weeks because Mark is deserting to go gallivanting off to the south of France.
Indeed, gallivanting. I think it's going to be more like perspiring.
What is it, an international paedophile conference?
No, it's a family meet-up, actually.
Is it in an asylum for idiots?
Might as well be.
A family meet-up. So you've got a wedding, any funerals?
No funerals, but not that I've planned on any. No.
Well, have a good time, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the next episode, or maybe the next 2 episodes on a Sunday. I will ask Richard this afternoon if he's interested in standing in for you. Otherwise, I'll just sit here and tell some really good
Play
jokes.
With yourself, exactly. Yeah. That was a mildly good one. Yeah. Do you think I asked for a 12-inch pianist?
Yes. Anyway, thanks for listening. Same time, same place next week. Bye for now.
Bye for now.